in this video about retrograde Mars. When Mars is retrograde, it has us reflecting on where we find personal strength. And personal strength actually arrives in the form of the discipline to choose this thing that we know is right rather than this thing that is easier. And this is what Mars gives us. And this is what I call discipline. Sometimes people say discipline is Saturn, but Saturn is about commitment and staying with something for a long time. Discipline, the way I see it, is we have the discipline to do something in the moment. Personal discipline means you have the discipline to suffer for your principles, which is Mars. Mars is our principles. And the willingness to suffer for them in the moment. Little suffering, it's not big suffering. Saturn gives us the capacity to suffer for a long time in the form of making a commitment to something and willing to suffer the hardship to make it work out for a long time. But the discipline in the moment to do the thing that we know is right comes from Mars. And our capacity to do that shows how much strength we really have, how much personal strength we really have. So for example, waking up early and doing meditation and working out, making our body strong. It requires effort. It's hard. It's easier to sleep in longer. It's harder, or it's easier to just sit on the couch and relax. But we know that when we do those things, it makes us stronger. And we feel good when we're willing to be a little uncomfortable because we know it's the right thing to do. And the only thing that makes us step outside of that comfort zone is that we know it's the right thing to do. Otherwise, there would be no reason to get up earlier from the bed. Right? There would be no reason to get up early from the bed. Why should I do it? What's the reason? Oh, okay, that's right. That's the right thing to do. It's right that if I get up earlier and do something like meditation or exercise or something, to start my day right. It's to start the day right. If I sleep longer and I lay there and get up, right? That's not the right thing to do. So when we identify what's right, then we have to do it. You see, we all know what's right. At least we act like we know what's right. We just don't do it. We know it's right to eat the food that's the healthiest for us and do a little bit of exercise and all that. We just don't do that stuff. We eat more food. We eat food that's not good for us. We eat snacks. We lay around. We're lazy. And we know it's not right for us, but we don't have the strength to do what's right. And this is what Mars is. It's the strength to do what's right. And when Mars goes retrograde, we start to question our habits and routines. And we say, is this really the right thing? Is this the right thing to be doing? God, I'm sleeping longer than I should be. I need to get up earlier and be more disciplined, do my meditations, and be willing to endure that discomfort. Just get up and do it. Am I physically strong? I need to work out or exercise or do yoga, do something that makes me physically strong, that gets my energy moving so I have more strength. And we reflect on those things, literally first internally, because we feel the pain. We might feel physical pain in our body that makes us do it. Again, it depends on what Mars rules in someone's natal chart. When it goes retrograde in the sky, we all will experience that Mars retrograde, and it leads to frustration first, and that frustration, that internal emotional frustration, is supposed to make us then get stronger and get more clear and reflect on that thing and then implement it in our life, and particularly something that's much more personal, much more private. The truth is, Mars energy and Saturn energy is supposed to be held onto. We're supposed to keep it to ourselves because they're tamasic planets. The tamasic energies we're supposed to keep to ourselves and use those things to strengthen ourselves. What we tend to do instead is dump it on other people because it's hard to hold on to it ourselves. So with Mars, instead of doing what we know is right, and being disciplined, we tell others what's right, and we argue with them about what they're doing. What you're doing is wrong. You should do what's right, and even though we don't do it ourselves. You did this to me, so you're wrong, rather than I'm not strong enough to deal with whatever it is that you're doing, within reason. So when Mars is powerful, we're less prone to other people's abuse and hostility, boundary violations, and all that stuff. We're strong enough to endure it. At least we don't have to dump the problem onto them. When Mars goes retrograde in the sky, or when he's there in our natal chart also, we can tend to understand the futility of doing this. Again, this is why the retrograde planet can be a great source of wisdom and power, because we reflect on that thing, and we reflect on the fact that dumping our anger and frustrations on others never works. It never gives us what we're really looking for, which is something deeper that has more peace involved with it. So we're really trying to get to more truth when the planet goes retrograde, and it starts as an internal truth, and that should help to galvanize the principle that the planet rules. Like with Mars, it's the karaka of strength through discipline and the willingness to do what we know is right, not just argue about it with others and things of that nature. So Mars does better when he goes retrograde in fire and water signs. He rules fire and watery signs, and he's, has better relationship in fire and water signs. Of course, fire is the fire of discipline, and water, because Mars also rules Scorpio, and has that watery quality to purify the emotions. When he goes retrograde in earth and air signs, it's a little more stressful, even though Mars is exalted in exalted in Capricorn, which is an earthy sign. It's not as difficult. Mars in air signs is definitely aggravating our ideas, and it can aggravate our mind. When Mars is in air signs and has a quality of air, there can be quite a bit of arguing involved. You can just line that up for yourself. Air is about ideas and speech, and Mars is about right and wrong, good and bad, yes, no. And it's those things that make us decide whether something is right or wrong, and then do it. Again, a judgment of right and wrong is quite beneficial for taking action. And that's what Mars is. It's the action planet. And our actions, we're supposed to do the right thing. We all think we're doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. This is Mars that says I'm doing the right thing. But instead we actually don't do the right thing, and this sense of righteousness becomes some idea that we argue about or some other kind of thing. So when Mars is retrograde, we can reflect on those things and actually destroy our own weaknesses, our own internal weaknesses. Mars is the energy of destroying things, destroying what we think is making us weak. So it doesn't make us strong by just doing what we know is right. Part of what we know is right is in response to what we know is wrong. It's that razor's edge, that knife edge of right and wrong. And the first part of doing what we know is right is to stop doing what we know is wrong. So for instance, getting up out of bed isn't just getting up out of bed, it's destroying sleep. They're the same thing. You're asleep and you get up, and you can either keep the sleep going or you can destroy the sleep. Destroy the sleep by getting up. Working out and yoga is destroying inactivity. Okay, I'm sitting here. Okay, I need to destroy that stuck heaviness. And I'm going to energize with energy, right? Deep breath, sweat is destroying and purifying other systems. So there's always that quality of Mars. So when he goes retrograde, we can often first experience the frustration. And before they go retrograde, they become stationary. So when Mars is stationary retrograde, then the energy is about to back up. And before it actually goes retrograde, it stations and stops. And things feel stuck, like, I don't know what's going on. And it's kind of like putting a lid on a pot that's about to blow. So when Mars is stationary retrograde or stationary direct, before the planet goes retrograde, it stations, there can be that sort of frustration build up with Mars, because Mars is frustration. And we might even have a blow up. And then that blow up compels us to then introspect. And then when Mars is about to turn direct and he stations, we might have another kind of blow up or cataclysm or something that then starts the energy moving forward again. So these are the different parts of the retrograde as well. So Mars retrograde time, start noticing if it's in your chart or if it's in the sky about to go retrograde or it is retrograde, notice where you see things that aren't right. Your tendency is to reach out and say, things are wrong because of this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing, this thing. And notice how underneath it all you're like, I don't know about that. The main thing that needs to be changed is my relationship with power. First, ask yourself, am I as disciplined as I need to be? Am I as strong as I need to be before I start fighting and arguing with someone else and blaming them? Is there something that I need to be doing, that I need to be more accountable for? Situation that I need to get stronger on within myself.